What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction, and once again, we are back with Girl Gone London. Absolutely incredible channel. If you guys would like to subscribe, I'll put her channel link as well as this video link down in the description section. And we got 4 American things that are actually British. Before we dive in and find out, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you would like to support the channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit that join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Let's find out what's going on here.
There's nothing more American than thinking you invented everything. But as a dual US and
That's
UK
true.
citizen, I'm
That's
here to
true.
tell you some surprising things that even I thought America invented that actually trace their roots to the UK. For example, when I think of America, I think of baseball and apple pie, but
For sure.
as it turns out, neither of those were our idea. Here's a closer look at 4
Baseball?
American staples that originally came from Britain. Number 1, baseball. Now, baseball is often called America's pastime, a sport that is woven into the nation's very fabric. From Little League fields, and yes, I did play baseball when I was younger, to major league stadiums, it's everywhere. Yet, baseball's ancestry is unmistakably British. Its closest ancestor is a game called rounders. Rounders involves a bat, a ball, bases arranged in a diamond shape, and players would hit the ball and run around the bases to score points. Does this sound familiar? Early forms of cricket also contributed to baseball's development, especially regarding the structure of innings and field organization.
I figured cricket. I figured she was gonna say like it evolved from cricket or it came from cricket, could turn into a completely different game. But that rounders game definitely sounds a lot like baseball. It's baseball. Rounders sound you hit the ball, you run the bases. The bases are shaped in a diamond. You run through all the bases, you get points. Baseball.
The 18th century, bat and ball games had crossed the Atlantic with British colonists. Regional variants sprung up in North America under various names like town ball and baseball. The first recorded American reference to baseball appears in a 1791 bylaw in Massachusetts, which bans playing the game near a town meeting house. Now, there's a very patriotic myth that someone named Abner Doubleday invented baseball in 1839 in Cooperstown, New York, but this is kind of a neat patriotic origin story. The real origins of baseball evolved gradually from British games, adapted over generations in the US, until it became the highly structured sport that we know today. Thus, America's national game has deep roots in English playgrounds and village greens.
That's
Next
crazy.
up,
Dang,
apple pie.
we got baseball from the British. Well, now, I mean, it's a game that we've created, but we took aspects of certain parts of different British games and I guess put our own little twist in there some way somehow. And there's baseball, so maybe the game itself it was not British, but a lot of aspects from the game came from the British, which is wild. Which is absolutely wild. Dang.
Pie. Few things are as
Apple
synonymous
pie.
with American identity as the phrase as American as apple pie.
Oh, I
Ironically,
haven't heard that phrase.
apple pie was a staple of English cuisine long before it ever appeared in the New World. The earliest recorded recipes for apple pie come from England during the 14th century. A medieval English cookbook contains a recipe for something called tarts in apples, which closely resembles a modern apple pie. These early versions included apples, figs, raisins, and pears, sweetened with spices like saffron, and they were enclosed in a sturdy pastry shell. Sometimes this pastry shell was inedible and just used to preserve the pie's filling, but we can see how it evolves over time. When British settlers arrived in North America, they brought their baking traditions with them. However, at first, they struggled. Apples are not native to North America, and the crab apples they encountered were small and sour. It wasn't until English apple varieties were introduced that apple pie became a common feature in American kitchens. By the 19th and early 20th centuries, apple pie had become a symbol of American prosperity and national pride, especially during the World Wars, when soldiers often said they were fighting for mom and apple pie. Even though the dessert's roots are clearly British, it was the American imagination that elevated it into a cultural icon. Next up, Halloween.
Dang.
Today, Halloween.
I guess I didn't really know about apple pie. I didn't even know that was originated from America. And so, or I guess it didn't originate from America. Actually, it originated from the British. They just called it a different name. We took it, maybe added a tweak or two, said, "Bam, apple pie, made here in America." Uh, but yeah, I'm not a fan of apple pie either way. So that one. But I mean, it's interesting to know that a lot of these aspects come from the British. I mean, when you truly think about it, it makes complete sense as Americans were mostly British Europeans, right? And they came over and started America. So, of course, they will pull so much from the land where they originally came from. And so that does make sense to me that a lot of stuff that we might think is American actually originated in Britain.
Halloween in America is a major cultural event with haunted houses, costume parties, pumpkin patches, and trick or treating. And they do celebrate Halloween in the UK, but Halloween in America is just so over the top that often a lot of people think it started there. But
I feel
Halloween's
that.
origins lie far from the suburban American neighborhoods and shopping malls. The holiday can be traced back over 2,000 years to
Right?
ancient Celtic traditions in Britain and Ireland, particularly a festival known as this. Now, I've looked up different pronunciations of this word to try and say it correctly, but I'm going to need somebody who actually knows what they're talking about to let me know in the comments how to say it. I've seen everything from Samhain to Samhain to Samhain. So again, if you are in the know, let me know. Now, this marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. It was a time associated with death. Celts believed that on the night of October 31st, the boundary between the living and the dead was at its weakest, allowing spirits to return to the world of the living. People lit bonfires and wore costumes to ward off wandering ghosts. Now, eventually this blended with Roman traditions, and later, as Christianity spread across Britain, the church tried to replace pagan rituals with Christian ones, establishing All Saints' Day on November 1st and All Souls' Day on November 2nd. The evening before became known as All Hallows Eve, eventually shortened to Halloween. Now you can see in here that America so far does not play into this at all, but Scottish and Irish immigrants carried these traditions to America in the 19th century, particularly after the Great Famine. Over time, American Halloween morphed into a community-based holiday, characterized by more child-friendly activities like trick-or-treating. But this itself was descended from the medieval British practice known as souling, where the poor would beg for food in exchange for prayers for the dead. Thus, while America transformed Halloween into the colorful, candy-fueled spectacle we know today, its roots are undeniably British and Irish in origin. And the last thing on my list is the
Halloween, yeah. I feel like we definitely just turned it into a big thing because our consumer attitude. We basically turn almost every day, every holiday into a big consumerism day where we consume so much, and we go all out, and we get the costumes, and we got people passing out the candy, and we got the haunted houses, and we got America just knows how to make things big because it is the land of consumerism. And so they're going to market the crap out of it until people want to be a part of it, and people take part, and they buy and they buy and they consume. And that's America.
American national anthem. Few moments are as moving for Americans as
The
standing for the
national
Star-Spangled Banner with their hand over their hearts in collective national pride. But the melody that stirs American patriotism comes from an 18th century British drinking song. The music for the Star-Spangled Banner was borrowed from the official song of a gentleman's club in London that celebrated music, food, and drinking. The song was written in the mid-1770s by a man named John Smith, and it was known for its difficult-to-sing melody. During the War of 1812, Francis Scott Key, an American lawyer, was inspired to write new lyrics to the song after witnessing the British bombardment of Fort McHenry in Baltimore. He was moved by the sight of the American flag still flying after the attack, and he penned a poem that was titled Defense of Fort McHenry. His words were later set to the melody of this gentleman's club song, which was already a familiar tune. The song gained popularity over the next century and was finally declared the national anthem in 1931 by President Herbert Hoover. So while its spirit is wholly American, the tune remains an echo of Britain's lively drinking halls. Now that brings me to the end of this video. Comment below, let me know if any of these surprised you. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Probably all of them except for apple pie because I didn't know too much about apple pie. I mean, but again, it makes sense to me that a lot of stuff that we have would originate in Britain. So that doesn't surprise me. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. That's all we got. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, get a bit of thumbs up, check out the next one.